All right, today we're going to check out Fort Frederica National Monument. I think I'm going to have to create a playlist called Forts. Here we are at the Visitor Center. Need to go find Chris. He got ahead of me and I got busy talking to a tourist. Imagine that. Ranger's office, restrooms. Oh, are these closed? Looks it's locked. Wow. Interesting. Wonder why it's locked. It was supposed to be open today, even though it's President's Day. The War of Jenkins' Ear. The campaign for Georgia. Yeah, Georgia had it tough because, being a colony, you had the Spaniards that had Florida, and then you had, the Revolutionary War and fight for total independence.
So I've been thinking about this for a while. I haven't actually looked to see if anybody's done it. Of course, we've been to Castillo de San Marcos, and I do have a video of that. So yeah, once you hit Florida, that's all Spanish forts. And we'll be going to Fort St. George, so we'll be doing that tomorrow. They're closed today. So it's interesting that one fort is open and the other fort is closed. Oh yes, and the Highlanders. Let's check out the burial ground first. These trees are massive.
It's hard to believe they put a cloche over the mint, especially this far south. Yarrow. Looks like maybe this is probably Egyptian walking onions or something here. Could be spring onions, but the top looks awfully small. Yeah, spring onions. Something along those lines. Lemongrass. Wow, theirs survived. It's already starting to green up. I can't grow lemongrass. Well, I can, but it freezes. Pomegranate tree. So it's interesting. Now I know how they prune theirs. And they're mixing oyster shells in here. And then rosemary. I love the blossoms on rosemary. And they're rooting more. So they have the little cloche over them. And then what do we have here? Olive? Oh yeah, it is an olive. Wow. Propagated, grown, and donated by the Casina Garden Club. Wow. I don't know that olives would have been a thing here. But perhaps. Look at these trees. Aren't they beautiful? Look at this one. Limbs are all the way down to the ground. It's so old. These are gotta be probably 150, 200-year-old trees around here. A lot of them. I saw the monument when we parked. It's over near the parking lot. Oh, there it is. Right over there. And I will say that there are still houses like this that are still standing and that are also lived in. I mean, they're not in the best of conditions, but yeah, it's not unusual in Georgia, rural areas to see. Even around metro Atlanta, you still see people living in houses like that.
this used to be like a whole town, and this is probably like as big as my school. It is. This is probably like the same size as my school. This big plot of land.
So yeah, here we are again on Broad Street, and you can see there are the remains of several buildings that were part of the town here. So around the property there are markers here and other plaques throughout this property. I don't know that we'll be hitting all of them. It's a lot. But they also had a tavern here, of course. I mean, heck, you couldn't drink the water. So, yeah, that's what you did back then. You drank alcohol. In fact, Johnny Appleseed, the apples that he planted weren't even the apples that we would eat today. All the apples that Johnny Appleseed planted were used for making cider. So that's why he was so popular and beloved. Johnny Chapman. Frederica was established in 1736. Each freeholder was given a lot of 60 feet by 90 feet deep. Like temperature today is about 56. I think will be the high. I'm wearing a black sweater, so once I get in the sun, I warm up quite a bit. But yeah, I have a thin long sleeve t-shirt and a sweater on. It's that time of year. You have to be ready for anything. Well, this would have been a really big house. It's too bad a lot of these displays need replacing. They're very difficult to read. Some forged items. An iron wing nut. I didn't realize that they would have wing nuts back in that period. That's interesting to know. Have a brick outline that's original, and then the oysters. See, that's the thing. These oysters don't look like oysters that come from this area. I'm curious about the oysters now. Because oysters generally in the Carolinas and Georgia come in big clusters. So even if you were to go into a restaurant and order oysters, they're going to be clustered. Not big individual like these are. And some of those oyster shells were huge. I was going to say this had to have been a house. Captain James McKay. He was a commanding officer during Oglethorpe's attack on St. Augustine. Early residents of this lot included Will Allen, a banker, and Thomas Sumner, a carpenter. Yeah, in 1777, they were already experiencing some homes burning down.
Like this place over here, it looked like it had an outdoor fireplace for cooking and stuff. It's Cross Street and Broad Street. So that's what these markers here are. Look how massive that is. Gosh, I can definitely see why Ford would have taken advantage of all the moss down here. And the labor was probably cheaper than Florida back in the day. We'll go down the water's edge here in a little bit. It's amazing that they still have the records of who lived where. It's been a very big house at all. Is that maybe 20 by 20 by maybe 10? And then there's a little square back here. So I don't know if that would have been a storage cellar, something of the kind. Oh, that's some fireplace there. Look at that. Clay wig curler. Oh, funny. Folding comb. Interesting. So, it's so crazy. They can tell, like, oh, this was John so-and-so, the candle maker. And then they found candle making tools there. Look at that fireplace, how wonky it is. You know, you have this stoop here, you have this stoop there, and you have those empty angles there. It's very interesting. And then you have that flat area. I wonder if they filled the tops so that there wasn't any more oh, you can see here where you'd feed the fire. So yeah, that would have been, or was that like a flat cooking area? That's crazy. Very interesting. I'm curious about that. I'm just a curious person. So this guy, Samuel Perkins, he arrived as a coach maker, and he built 2 good houses in town, one on this foundation here, the other outside of town where he planted an orchard and stuff, and he had hogs. But he must have been, I don't know if he was a jerk or if he was a competitor because he was a coach maker. But Oglethorpe forbade him to sell iron goods or make chassis. Captain in the regiment prevented him from something in his garden, working in his garden. One of Oglethorpe's something beat him up, and although a town police officers, the soldiers said something to ignore him, were ordered to ignore him. Wow. So he left here and went up to Charleston. And then I can't read anymore. But there's a QR code. It might say more. And QR codes are amazing. A big water bird just flew over. Must have been a heron because the wingspan was huge. Another tavern and doctor. It's Dr. Thomas Hawkins. He was a regimental surgeon. Can you imagine surgery back then? Oh, his wife was ill-tempered and she attempted to kill the Reverend John Wesley. He obviously escaped it. Holy cow. And Davidson had lived in the house to the left with his wife and children, operated a tavern, made gun stocks for the regiment, served as town constable. The Reverend Charles Wesley called this popular man my Good Samaritan. The Davidsons left in 41, unable to tolerate their neighbors, the Hawkins. Wow. Gosh, imagine, you see all these YouTube videos of bad neighbors. Imagine back then. Gosh, you'd have to move to a whole new settlement and start over again. Yeah. All right, let's go over here to the water's edge, see what's going on. So this is part of the fort itself. It's funny, they turned a musket ball into a fishing sinker. And clay pipe has fallen. As they say a lot in the Midwest, well. Oh, this is the North Storehouse. And can barely read anything here. It was a 3-story brick and timber structure with flat tarred roof. 312, I don't know if that's pounds of beef and pork, rice, 104 Indian corn or peas, P-E-A-S-E, flour, spelled flour, F-L-O-W-E-R. Quarts of something for brewing beer.
I have no idea what that is. It begins with an M. SSE. Oh, molasses. I didn't know they brewed beer here with molasses. Spice, spun cotton, soap, cheese, sugar, vinegar. All your basic kitchen staples. There you go. There's a look at the Low Country. Of course, there's graffiti on there. I guess that would have probably been storage for, I'm going to guess it would have been storage for, since food storage is outside, it would have been ammunition storage, more than likely, from trips to other forts that we've been on. £12 ball could go 1 mile. That's amazing. I didn't realize they shot that far. So obviously the water has risen. You see parts over here of the fort still existing. So I imagine a lot of the fort's underwater or has been taken by the water over the years. See some foundation here. And the blacksmith shop. They found 5,000 artifacts. That guy was messy. Alright, so yeah, I guess this is where they would have kept the magazine, Sally Port, guard room, prison cell. Huh. Now, Chris said he saw an orange tree there on Broad Street where we were walking. And then there's this massive tree here. This is another one with the limbs going down to the ground almost. It's not unusual to see places, well, mainly in Florida, they would a lot of times prop up the limbs
to keep them from breaking. Now, we were sitting at that bench right there, and I found this. So there's a pecan tree somewhere on the property, but I don't see one. So this nut must have been hauled here by a squirrel. But I certainly don't see anything very close by that would be a pecan, because the pecans wouldn't have leaves on the trees right now. Unless it's that tree over there, but that doesn't even look like a pecan. I mean, it could be. It could be just, and there's a tree all the way back there that doesn't have leaves on it. But I don't see anything over here on this side that's without leaves. These are lily plants here. Yeah, this thing is massive. So Chris is coming over to stand in front of this tree so you can see just how massive the tree is. It's enormous. You can see here we have at least a couple more streets off of Broad. Oh, have Alley Street and then something else. I guess it's Alley Street. Because over here would have been the alley on the back side of Broad. It looks like they're doing a little archaeological dig over here. May have been abandoned for a while. Very cool. What always amazes me is how much everything composts over these old ruins over time. This is an interesting structure with these different places built up. I guess they would have been the fireplace. But there are bricks down there. So maybe it wasn't all. I don't think it was all tabby and wood. Very cool. But man, they may do that as like a teaching project too for probably University of Georgia, but they may do school, like high school stuff too. I don't know. Camp, summer camp stuff. Who knows? All right, here's the orange tree. It is really, really, really covered. Chris said, there must be another one though, because Chris said the only reason he knew it was an orange tree was because there was an orange on it. I don't see one on here. But yeah, Chris agrees with me. Like some of these oyster shells are about the size of my hand. Maybe even bigger. But I want to know where these oyster shells came from. We both love oysters. Okay, here's the tree with the orange on it. And then I just did notice there's another orange tree over there. This one looks like a tangerine. Satsuma, maybe. Tangerine or Satsuma. South Georgia's becoming a producer of oranges now. Florida's crop got really, really hurt. I know, it's a Valencia. They're good juice oranges. And they have moles down here too. But yeah, so Florida's citrus crop has gotten hit very hard with the citrus canker. So I think Georgia decided to take advantage of that and start planting groves. I expected to see the price of pecans go up because some of these trees were destroyed in Georgia, but maybe next season they'll go up. I think they're still running about $10 a pound down here. More streets. And I'm going to guess this is a church, but that's what Chris and I are guessing, especially since Wesley was here, so we'll find out. Yeah, there are the street signs right there. Cross Street. A few different streets over there. You're totally wrong. These were the barracks. I was surprised to see the round window on the side and the brick here at the barracks. Though they don't have it marked, they have another street sign here. There it is. Right there's another street sign, but this would have been an alley because that is actually the front of the barrack. That is probably the pecan tree right there. And those are small pecans. Those are pecans you wouldn't see mainly in a lot of your basic whatever you buy in the store. Those are specialty pecans. They're a lot sweeter, a lot more tender. And so those would be used for special cookies or something like that. I forget there's a name for them, but I forget what it is.